Hello Snarkatarians, what's up? It's Jess. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me. I actually feel a little strange asking how you are because how is anybody these days? You know, like what's up? Like nothing and absolutely everything. And I was debating if I wanted to do this kind of video and just kind of chat with you about everything that's going on. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. You may be sick of hearing about it, you may be sick of talking about it, and for the most part I am too, but I just wanted to get something out there, connect with you guys, see how everybody's doing, and just kind of chat about it, because it's hard not to. I mean, it's on our brains 24/7. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do some makeup, put some makeup on my face. I'm not really going to go into detail about what I'm putting on my face today. I will, however, list and link everything that I use in the description box below. So, you know, check that out if you're interested. So what a difference a week and a half makes. Since I last posted anything, a lot has kind of happened. I feel very fortunate in the fact that I went out right before all this stuff started happening and went up to visit my parents. They live about 2 counties away from me, about an hour away. So I was able to kind of spend some time with them and visit them before everything started happening and, you know, the mandatory kind of regulations went into effect. So I'm very fortunate in that respect. As a matter of fact, a couple weekends ago, I went to my parents' house and I told Matt, maybe you want to hang out with your parents and, you know, just spend some time with them, because who knows what's going to happen in the weeks to come. So sure enough, everything kind of hit the fan. I guess it'll be about 2 weeks on Wednesday where things really started getting a little shady. I have a lot of mixed emotions right now. The main reason is because I am an essential worker. I do work in healthcare. I don't know that I've really gone into it very much in detail as far as what I do. I live in Pennsylvania and I am a radiologic technologist, which means I'm the person that takes your x-rays in an office or hospital. I personally work in a physician's office, an orthopedic office, which means we deal a lot with replacements as far as knees, hips, shoulders, and ankles. Also a lot of fractures and fracture follow-ups, castings, and things like that. So I am needed to take some of those follow-up images to make sure things are healing healing correctly, fractures aren't moving around or anything. I feel fortunate in the fact that I am able to work right now. I am not on the front lines by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how you do it, like nurses, the x-ray techs in the hospital, janitorial services, doctors. I'd be pissing my pants right now. And I've been having a lot of mixed emotions about my situation and what I think is appropriate, things that are still open. Basically, I just go to work and I come home. That's pretty much all I do. Like I said, I work in a doctor's office, in a physician's office, and we really started making some changes in our schedule. Like I said, it was about a week ago Wednesday when we started doing that. Basically, we have 3 offices. One of our main office is kind of our central county office, and then we have 2 offices that are a little bit more southern county, and I am in one of the southern county offices. So already we don't see as many patients as our mid-county office does, but what they ended up doing was kind of putting the doctors into 2 teams. One team was up in our central county office, and then the other team worked from the southern county offices. So generally the doctors usually kind of rotate around through, not all of them, but the majority of the doctors rotate through each office, you know, during the week. But now they're just kind of separated into 2 groups, the mid-county and the southern county. So that's where I am. And for the most part, our doctors really have been good about examining patients that were originally on the schedule, trying to slim that load down a little bit so there aren't as many people coming in and out of the office. So, you know, trying to really kind of protect our patients and also to protect them, you know, the doctors and the staff. And I was initially very conflicted. Part of me wanted to really kind of quarantine myself anyway for 2 weeks, just because I have a very strong, like strangely strong immune system. I never get sick, quite honestly. It's very strange. I do have fibromyalgia and I struggle with that, and a lot of times if I do call out of work, it's due to fibromyalgia symptoms. It's not because I'm sick or have a virus or anything like that. And honestly, my fibromyalgia has been really kind of controlled in the last year or so. I take an average of 3 sick days a year, and most of the time it's because of fibromyalgia symptoms. It doesn't have anything to do with getting sick. And especially this time of the year, I'm always around MAs that are always sick. I think I'm the only clinical staff member at this point that has not taken a sick day. So as a matter of fact, about 4 years ago, and I only know this because it came up on my Facebook memories, I remember it was a Monday and I wasn't feeling great. Wasn't really sure if it was fibromyalgia symptoms, because a lot of times they end up starting out like I'm getting sick, but then I know if I'm getting a lot of achiness in my hands or my feet, then most likely it's a fibro attack and or flare up, and I'm not getting sick. But it just kind of wipes me out quite a bit. It was a Monday. I went to work feeling a little odd. Kind of went to lay down at lunchtime and fell asleep, and when I woke up, I really felt like my chest was burning. It was really, really uncomfortable, kind of a little scared. I'm like, well, maybe I'm getting like bronchitis or something, pneumonia, something like that. It just felt very heavy in my chest, and it felt like it was burning, and it just felt like I was kind of pulling for air. So I went to one of the doctors and said, can you just listen to my lungs? Is there something going on there? And she listened. She's like, it sounds like there's something going on, but, don't take my word for it. I'm an orthopedic doctor. I'm not a primary doctor. So, that was fine. So I ended up taking the day off the next day, staying home, and never really had like a crazy grade temperature or anything like that. I tend to run high. I'm usually like 99 point something, and that's generally where I run. So if I'm in the 99s, it's not necessarily a big deal or a high fever or anything like that. Never had, a significant fever. But I went to the doctor the next day and was actually feeling much better, and said, I just wanted to get your opinion, listen to my lungs. Is there anything going on in there? And, I told him that my chest had burned, and it wasn't burning at that point, but it had. And he didn't put me on anything because I was feeling better. He's like, I do want to take a nasal swab just because you said your chest was burning, even though it's not now. It wouldn't be a bad idea to just kind of take a nasal swab and see if that comes up with anything. So I don't know about you. Have you ever had a nasal swab? Have you? It feels like somebody is literally tickling the back of your eyeballs for about 10 seconds. And I wanted to just punch my primary in the throat because it was so, it was awful. And of course makes you want to sneeze all over the place. So got through that, went home, relaxed the rest of the day, went to work. At this point it's Wednesday, went to work Wednesday, went to work Thursday, was feeling much better. And I got a call from my doctor Thursday morning and said, yes, you tested positive for the flu. Well, I had already been working for 2 days prior to that. So anyway, even though I had the flu, I didn't have a ton of symptoms that would worry me that I did have the flu. So my initial gut reaction with everything going on is that I need to stay home, proactively stay at home and quarantine myself for 2 weeks. I'm like, I can deal with that. I can work without pay for 2 weeks. It's no big deal. I would be okay with that. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this is going to go on longer than 2 weeks. And if I have to stay out longer than 2 weeks, like if they decide to close the office or something happens, I wouldn't be good financially. So I decided to kind of tough it out and see what happens. And as I said before, the doctors were really good about streamlining their patients. They're doing a lot of telemed things where the patients don't even have to come in necessarily. If it's just a regular kind of exam and they don't need x-rays, how are you doing? Any problems with your incision area, anything like that. And they can do that over the phone and still, charge an office visit. The thing is, we want to limit our patients coming in and out of the office, again, to save, to protect our patients and also protect our staff. But at the same time, if we're not having office visits, then the shit's going to hit the fan with hours, and we could all be in a lot of trouble. So I was actually feeling pretty good about the situation. This past Monday and Tuesday going into work didn't really, you know, I was kind of upbeat, feeling pretty good, you know, nothing crazy going on. And then by Wednesday, we kind of heard that things aren't great, and we're going to have to take a chunk of things out. People may be getting laid off. My thought process was, you know, I'm the x-ray tech. You know, if they have a post-op patient that's coming in, needs x-rays, they need x-rays. They can't even send them. There's a radiologic office across the driveway from us, and they're closed right now too. So I felt like I was pretty safe with my position, at least for now. So Thursday, they asked us for our personal emails and our cell phone numbers. And I thought for sure we would get some kind, because we weren't having any kind of staff meeting. Who would need one of those? You really don't need to know what's going on at all. So I thought for sure we would get some kind of notification on Thursday night while we were at home, whether we're supposed to come in or stay home or, you know, something. We didn't. Of course, we're all freaking out and we get nothing. So trying to figure out what's going on Friday, and finally after lunch, the shit does hit the fan. And people are getting laid off. And, you know, I was correct. I did not get laid off. I am still working. Our hours are definitely, they switched our schedule up again. So tomorrow, Monday, certain doctors are just working in the morning, and then another crew's coming in the afternoon. And so I don't know from day to day what my schedule is necessarily going to be like. I do plan on leaving and coming home if I'm not needed. If I can take those days, you know, some of those hours unpaid, I will, to try and save the practice some money. But it's hard. Honestly, I don't have a ton of friends outside of work. And I get along pretty much with the majority of people that I work with. And some of my closest friends are there. And some of them still have a job right now. And some of them were let go. I've never been in a job or never been in a place where this has actually happened. This is the first time I've ever had to deal with any kind of layoffs, any kind of stress. Like, there was already stress going into the week with just the reports and everything coming in and, you know, things that you hear. And quite honestly, I do not watch the news at all. I refuse, because as far as care, nothing's going to change. I mean, you still want to be careful. If you have to limit the time that you're going out, it would be great to stay at home. And, you know, I see these things, stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. And there's this guilt factor that plays along with it, because I do want to be home. I don't want to bring anything home to Matt. And, you know, he would probably be the only one right now that would have an issue if I were to bring something home, because, you know, we're not seeing anybody else. There's also guilt in the fact that there are people that I think should have been spared, as far as having their job, not getting laid off at this point, and some people that probably should have been let go. And I don't think I should have been let go, but we're not out of the woods yet, and there's still a possibility that I could be let go, if only temporarily, but it's still something that's up for grabs. Nobody's safe in this. Nobody's out of the woods. They could close the offices entirely. They could close the southern portion entirely and keep Mid-County open. I don't know what they're going to do. There's so much uncertainty right now. And I feel a lot of guilt about that. You know, I feel guilty driving to work because, you know, is there a cop out there like, why are you out? It's apparently happened. One of our MAs was stopped on her way to work and was asked why they were out. So I do have my badge, my work badge. I do have an email from our president of the company saying we are essential and need to work. But it's hard, because I know my situation could be a hell of a lot worse than it is right now. I could not be working at all. And I'm not necessarily upset about working, but there's a very big conflict of feelings right now that I have, and I don't know how to kind of deal with that. The weekends right now, it's really hard for me to find any kind of motivation. Even during the week, there's any, other than coming home and being stressed out mentally, there's really, I just am exhausted and really don't want to do anything by the time I get home. there's a lot of stuff I need to do in this house. It's like the perfect opportunity. If I'm coming home earlier from work, I have a perfect opportunity to go through a shelf or go through my basement, and and I don't, because I have zero energy because of dealing with whatever stress, or talking about whatever's going on, and dealing with patients, and you don't know who's going to come in the door. And yeah, we have them sign a form, but people can lie on that. I don't feel like I personally have come across anybody in our office that I'm like, are you sure you shouldn't be tested? I didn't have any interaction, but there has been a patient or two that the MAs had to bring back, and they weren't sure. There's a lot of coughing and hacking going on, and I think we're at the point now where people are so tired of being in that they just want some kind of excuse to be able to get out of the house. So if they have a doctor's appointment, they want to keep the doctor's appointment. And if you're one of those patients that really, you're at your 4th post-op or 5th post-op, you're a few months out of your surgery, is there really any reason for us to see you at this time unless you're having complications? And then it comes to, well, I guess I'm not important. You can pick and choose, and there's the guilt in that. Like, for the most part, patients have been very understanding with the situation, but of course you're going to run across a few that are not at all, and are really upset and offended that you are bumping their appointment out because there's no reason why they can't come to the office. And I'm like, well, there is actually. You need to stay home. So that's a situation right now, and I'm trying my best to deal with it. I'm not necessarily sure how right now, but it's it's one day at a time. I am catching up on a lot of Bravo, and like everybody else, you hear the buzz about this damn Tiger King documentary, which we just started watching last night. Oh man, I feel like I've heard of the Big Cat Sanctuary. I feel like I've heard of that before, but I never heard of any of these other crazy bastards before. And it's really disturbing as somebody who loves animals and would think it would be so much fun to hang out with a tiger. I know that's not necessarily a cool thing, and doesn't need to happen. I think what I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm going to do my eyebrows off camera and come back, because I can't talk and do my eyebrows at the same time. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I feel much better with my eyebrows being on. But yeah, Tiger King. I think we're about 3 episodes in. And as everybody tends to agree, she absolutely did it. I feel awful for these animals that are being exploited like that. And part of me, wondered, like, if they're being sold to celebrities and, these people that have way too much money on their hands that they actually think they can, have a tiger in their house, or a leopard, or jaguar or something. I also wonder if people have bought them and taking them out to a field somewhere where they have those awfully inhumane hunting sessions. Like you can fly in a helicopter and hunt from the sky and have a really crazy advantage over these poor animals who've never lived in the wild. I wonder if that plays into it at all, or what goes on there. So it's hard for me. It was hard for me to watch the first 2 episodes because it had a lot to do with the aspect of the animals. I just want to talk about the nitty gritty and get into the more disturbing characterizations and situations that were going on with murder and mayhem and whatnot, and kind of leave the tigers out of it. What else did we watch? We finished watching The Sinner, the first season of The Sinner with Jessica Biel. That was very intense. And we also watched The Outsider, that was on HBO. It was a Stephen King book, and we watched that, and I just thought it was excellent. I never read the book. Of course, people say that the book is, of course, much better than the actual movie, but or series, but I thought it was excellent. Matt really enjoyed it too. So many characters. It takes a great writer to not force you, but that you're able to have sympathy for, like, I can't remember his name now, but the guy that was kind of taken over by this thing that was going on, that was working in the police department, and was kind of doing this thing's dirty work. Douglas? I don't remember. But you kind of had some empathy for him because he wasn't doing this to be malicious. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time and got scratched, and, you know, you felt bad for him, even though he was kind of a douchebag initially. I felt bad for him. And I just thought Stephen King just writes great characters. I mean, just fantastic characters. I love him as a writer. I liked a lot of his books, and I didn't know anything about this one, but I really liked it. Matt really liked it too. So I don't know anything. I'm assuming this left off where the book left off, and now somebody has to come in and write other seasons, if that's the situation. We just started the second season of The Sinner, and that is quite disturbing as well. Music. Is anybody else thrilled that some of these big 90s bands and groups are coming back? Pearl Jam has come back, has a totally different sound. I was never, like, the biggest fan of Pearl Jam. I mean, they're okay. I like Eddie Vedder kind of as a person. He just has a very distinct voice, and, you know, I just think he's kind of cool anyway. But their new song, it sounds like Talking Heads. Totally dig it. Super excited about that. And then, if I weren't happy enough about that, Alanis Morissette comes out with a new album, or at least a new song, called The Reasons I Drink, which, if you haven't heard it yet, you have to hear it. It has like a little Sarah Bareilles kind of piano beat to it, but of course the lyrics and demeaning nature of the song is nothing but Alanis, and it's good, man. I mean, it's one of those things where I will put the radio on super high on my way home from work or whenever I hear it and just sing my lungs out because you can. And I have loved Alanis ever since she came out. I have quite a few of her CDs when CDs were a thing, and just thought she's always been super, super fantastic. So I am more than happy that she is back. I am thrilled with that. So again, if you are a fan of Alanis and have not heard this newest song yet, you really have to check it out. It's fantastic. And I find it to be a little ironic, as much as I love the song, and, you know, I picked probably the worst time right now to give up alcohol. I did this last year. I'm sure I've talked about it before. Actually, 2 years ago I did. I gave up alcohol for Lent. I'm not Catholic or anything. Was United Methodist, and we still kind of observed Lent things, and I thought it was a good idea. You know, it can't hurt to give up, you know, try and give up some of your vices. There are always these little things that we kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times mine is food, but alcohol is definitely one of those things, especially if I'm, you know, annoyed about something at work or just about life in general. You know, coming home and having a beer, or even just having like a nice cold beer with a hot dog, right? Hot dogs and stuff like that. You know, I like the taste of beer, and I like it with certain foods, you know. So the first year I did it, I was successful. I was able to do it. My birthday was involved in there. I was in a wedding, and I was able to do it successfully. And, you know, from Ash Wednesday to Easter is more than 40 days. It's like 43 days. So I did even better than 40 days. I did the whole shebang and was very proud of myself. And I'm like, well, I just need to do this every year. So the following year, last year, I did it too. And it worked for all of 10 days. I maybe made it 2 weeks until I caved because we were going through a transition period at work with our computer system, and I just couldn't do it. So I did do a monthly challenge, which I got through, I think it was like, was it October or November? And I was able to do it at that point. But I'm trying to do it again this year, and I have 2 more weeks. I'm still holding strong. If this isn't the biggest kick in the pants, because this is the perfect opportunity to want to drink, but I was a little naive last year when I did it, and I'm like, I refuse to do any of these non-alcoholic beverages because there is a smattering bit of alcohol in it, and I said, you know what? I don't care. If it's what it takes to get me through it, I'm going to do it. And I actually found Amazon has a couple non-alcoholic Proseccos. The one specifically is called Free, F-R-E, and I believe it's from Sutter Home. It does make regular wines too. But this is a non-alcoholic Brut Prosecco, which I absolutely love and would actually drink if it had alcohol in it as well. So I haven't seen it anywhere other than Amazon. And I had gotten 2 bottles and they're gone. So, yeah. But at our local grocery store, they had a nice selection of non-alcoholic beers. And I picked one up, a German beer, that it was extra hoppy and really tasted like beer, like the whole time. I noticed that sometimes with non-alcoholic things, the flavor changes as it gets warmer. And you could really kind of tell that it was a non-alcoholic beverage. So I was like, oh, okay. But this one was quite good. As it changed temperature, it still tasted like beer. Matt even said he would drink it if he didn't know any better. If there was alcohol in it, he'd drink it. So that's a testament to that. So that's really good. I can't think of the name of it, but when I do, I'll put it down or I'll link it below. Yeah. So that works really well, and it's getting me through. And I think I'll be able to do it this year despite everything going on. What are you guys doing as you're holed into this situation and can't go? I think I went out once this weekend to check the mail. And that's it. We had really crappy really crappy weather this weekend anyway. And it rained like crazy yesterday, and it's just kind of dreary and cloudy and everything today. But trying to get any kind of motivation to do any of these videos, and I feel like it's so trivial to do a makeup video or do a makeup where you're watching me put makeup on. But at the same time, I think for me, it's kind of therapeutic. I can kind of chat to you guys. I guess I'm not really chatting with you guys, but I would love, certainly feel free to leave a comment and let me know how you're doing. I would love to know how you're doing, what you're doing, if you have to work as well, or if you're stayed home, or if you get to work at home. I mean, obviously YouTube is not my full-time job. It would be fantastic, especially at this point if it was, but it's not. I'm torn. I have a lot of different emotions going into work every day and coming home and feeling like I shouldn't be out, or is somebody looking at my car judging me like, why the hell is she out, or what do you think you're doing? And can you imagine if this had happened in the wintertime? I seriously would have lost my mind at this point, because there have been quite a few days, I think, where the weather has been gorgeous, at least in our area, and I have been able to sit outside on our deck, and Matt plays guitar and just kind of chat, and we've done a couple bonfire kind of things, and just kind of being able to enjoy the fact that it can always be worse. Thank God we can go outside and be in the fresh air. We don't have to trap ourselves in the house. There's still, I don't necessarily trust going to one of our trails, which are open, and, dealing with that. But people are out there doing it, and, as long as they're maintaining safe distance, then that's great. But I personally don't trust that. And I'm just happy that I can sit in my backyard and just kind of relax there and try and decompress from the ridiculousness of the days. My whole point is that it can always be worse. Things could always be worse, and I'm not saying they aren't going to get worse. Just try and take other people into consideration. As much as my situation gets me down every once in a while, there are people. Matt's not working. He's an electrician, so unless he has some kind of emergency call or something, he's not working, and he doesn't have sick time. He doesn't have PTO time or insurance right now. So what happens then? It can always be worse, and I definitely need to keep that in mind and suggest that you do too. And know that if you have it bad or you're having it really rough right now, most likely there's somebody out there who's in the same position as you or worse. And, you know, if you're able to be there for them, then be there for them. Try to be there for each other. You know, you go to the grocery stores and things aren't there and people are hoarding things and you lose, at least I have to a certain degree, lost some of my trust in humanity. And then something happens, somebody says something and is appreciative of the fact that you're in the office, or, you know, they just ask how you're doing. Like, do you have any kids? And like, kind of asking how you're staying safe and things like that. So I don't have any lip things. Maybe I should get a lip thing. I'll be right back. So I appreciate you very much hanging out with me while I just put a little bit of makeup on and kind of vent about what's been going on with me. I would really appreciate it if you drop me a line, leave a comment just so I know how you're doing, how you're making out, what you're doing to keep your brain from becoming a zombie mush. Subscribe if you'd like to. I would appreciate it. Ring the bell for notifications of when I upload. I try to upload at least once a week, sometimes on the weekend. Every once in a while I'll drop an extra one in here and there. Follow me on Instagram at Pesky Snarkatarian. I am also on Snapchat now. Woohoo! Also at Pesky Snarkatarian. And if you like this video, hey, give it a thumbs up. Much appreciated. So with everything going on here, people, please be careful. Please remember to be safe, be smart, and most importantly, be kind to one another. With everything going on out there, it means a lot for just somebody to smile or say hi and ask how you're doing. So take care, everybody. I will see you in my next video.